So hi guys, how are you doing? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is Regina Space, the place where I get to learn, share and grow together with you guys. And I want to thank everyone who have been watching my videos of late, subscribing to my channel, liking my videos. It's very encouraging, so please keep on supporting your girl. And if you're new here, please, you get to see a lot of other videos I've done before, so feel welcome. Thank you so much for being here. So today, as you can see from the title of this video, is that I want to share my story. I've been doing videos, about being in Cambridge. I don't share my full story here on YouTube, but today I feel like, just opening up, being vulnerable a little bit, hoping to encourage someone, hoping to inspire someone. If you feel like giving up, just know that it's not yet the time to give up. Like, your story is much more, that God can take you from anywhere really and bless you in ways that you've never imagined, or in ways you cannot not even comprehend, like how your story is going to turn around. So you can see from the title is that the story is from the ghetto to Cambridge. And looking at me now, not many people would believe, but I'm a ghetto girl. If you're Kenyan, or if you're from wherever, Africa, you would know what ghettos are. So I was born and brought up in the city, Nairobi. So when I say that, people would assume it's the posh places in Nairobi, the suburbs, the good neighborhoods, and it's because, we didn't live there. We lived in the slums, really. I think for a good amount of time, for the whole of my teenagehood, if I remember correctly, we were living in the slums. And when we were not living in the slums, we were living still in Eastlands. I know Eastlands, there are those posh estates that we know in Eastlands, but we were not living in them, or if we were living in them, we were living in the extensions. So those estates, Makongeni, Kaloleni, they have extension houses that are not really made of stones, if that makes sense. And so there's a time we used to live in Kaloleni, there's a time we lived in Makongeni, still in the extension houses. Then we moved to Buruburu. I'll tell people we live in Buruburu, but in actual sense we didn't live in Buruburu. There's a slum just very close by to Buruburu, or Kariobangi, wherever it is, or Isili, just behind Moi Air Base. A lot of you know that slum. It's called Kiambio. So that's where I grew up. No, we began on the Buruburu side. I can't remember the actual name of the slum on the Buruburu side. We used to call it City Cotton. And I think the name came because it was a very poor place, and perhaps initially the houses were built of cotton. So that's where I grew up, and that's where I actually began official schooling. Not really, I had begun schooling sometime in the village, but like now, being in teenagehood, going to school, getting to know yourself, that is the place I grew up in. I had friends. We were poor. I mean, of course, the concept of being poor, I came to understand it, I think, in my early teenhood. Early teenagehood is when I realized, oh guys, perhaps we are not rich, because the house was not really good, but my parents loved us. My mom, my dad, they provided whatever much they could. And to add to that, apart from the story of being slums, you guys know I'm a wheelchair user. So you can see I'm seated on a wheelchair, if you see clearly. Something else that I'm usually not really comfortable opening up about here is my disability stories, and perhaps one day we'll get there, and it's because I don't want to use my story as like to take advantage of my story, what I've gone through with my disability. I do not want to minimize the person that I am, the achievements that I've made, or the struggles that I've gone through just on disability. And I'm not taking away, taking away any rights of any person with disability who would want to go in with their stories first. But for me, I felt perhaps let me come on here as a human being first, going through normal life challenges, and then we can get to my disability later, because I believe my disability is just a part of who I am. It's not like, you know, the entirety of the person that is Regina. So yeah, grew up in the slums in Buruburu. So if you're my childhood friend, or if we met somewhere far away from home and you ask me where we lived, I would say Buruburu. And then if you probe more, I'll tell you the truth. Or if you want to go and know our place, I'll just tell you the truth. And it's because I was not embarrassed. I can say I was not really embarrassed of where we lived. It's having to explain, oh, we don't live actually in Buruburu, we live in a slum, just the many stories. If you know me, you know I don't like explaining things. And so if you come up with a narrative first, or whatever I can tell you just to make that story short, is what we would go by. So I began schooling when we were living in that slum near Buruburu phase 1 actually. If you're in Buruburu, you know what I'm talking about, you know it. Then later on, I began schooling. That was really good. I have fond memories of that school I went to. I went to a school still in the slums. These are not like Nairobi Primary School, and Nairobi Primary School is a good school, by the way. I really wanted to go there, but I never went there. So I went just into a school nearby there that was really affordable, was really performing well. I remember the friends I made in school, I met really good people. I think some of my teachers we still talk. Even today, we are friends on Facebook. And so that was very encouraging. And then later on, we moved to the other side. Now Kiambio, the one that I'm talking about, that is just across the river. Yeah, actually Kiambio and the slum near Buruburu, I think City Cotton, they're just separated by a river. So we moved to the other side. And the reason why we actually moved, so here are my parents, they have a child with disability. You know, I was almost getting to starting using a wheelchair because mobility at that time was a challenge. And so my school moved. My school moved across the river to Kiambio now, to Kiambio slums. And that was grounds and reason enough for my parents to move, you know, closer to where the school was, so that I don't struggle going to school. And so I did a good chunk of my school in Kiambio there, I remember. And I think I got up to class 6 or 7. I don't remember correctly. I think class 7. When I got into class 7, the school was doing really well. We had like sponsorships, you know. I had good friends, good teachers. I was doing well in school. I loved knowledge. Still love knowledge though. But when we got into class 7, I think the school closed down. I don't remember exactly what happened. I think the principal, I think some corruption was happening behind the scenes. And I think the investors, supporters and funders moved away. And so the school had to close down. And remember, because of my disability, movement is a challenge. Like, it's a challenge, you understand? That's why I use a wheelchair, which gives me a lot of freedom when it comes to moving. So the school closed down, and here was Regina, a very bright student, a student who really wanted to pursue education, and my parents and I were at a loss for a very good, for a lot of time actually. We didn't know like what would happen. Do we look for mind you, there are so many primary schools nearby, but we're just thinking in terms of logistics, what would it take for me to be going to a day school every day in the morning and in the evening? And mind you, I'm the last born, so I don't have like siblings who we are going to school together. I was actually the only one now schooling out of my parents' children. Of course, I had like, you know, people we could school with, but they were not schooling exactly where I was. I think, yeah, they weren't there. So in terms of logistics, we were thinking, and my parents were thinking, like, where do we take this child to continue with her education, a place where it will be logistically, reasonable for her, and a place where she will generally feel accepted and excel. So this is where my story begins now, moving away from the ghetto. My dad actually went looking for schools, and we ended up in Joytown, Thika. So I went to Thika to do the rest of my primary school, and also did high school there. Mind you, we still live in the slums, so my parents can't afford us moving. I remember at some point, and I usually feel so bad for this, I was this not talkative kid, but someone who airs out my sentiments. If I'm not happy, if I'm not satisfied with something, if something is not comfortable, trust Regina to speak up. And so I used to feel so limited in terms of activities, especially as a child, in terms of the activities I could be able to do with my friends, or if I want to explore. So if I had friends, they would have to come to my place to play with me or to chat with me, anything really, generally. And you can imagine, I'm a teenager, I just want to have a normal life. I couldn't conceptualize, why do we live in these slums where there are mtaros everywhere? What are mtaros? Trenches everywhere, where the environment is rocky. I cannot be able to push myself using a wheelchair, as in mobility was a challenge. And I remember there's a time, of course, I didn't understand the magnitude of the poverty we were in. We had a place to sleep, clothes to wear, food to eat, and that was enough. So as a child, that's what I'm conceptualizing, that we are rich, that we are okay. So I'm imagining perhaps my parents have stashes of money hidden somewhere, especially my mom was very good at that, and she doesn't want to spend that money. And so there's a time I would keep begging my mom, let's move to Buruburu, let's move to Buruburu. Now just look at those mtaros, I cannot push my wheelchair on those mtaros, look at the stones here, the place is not even accessible. I don't feel okay, I don't feel like I have a life. Mind you, after going to Joytown in Thika to school, the place was accessible. I would push myself, through the wheelchair, and even my friends would do that. So it was easily accessible to move around. And so I had tasted that in school, because I went into a boarding school, and coming back home, that was not possible. It's once you get into the house and you get off that wheelchair, perhaps I'll get an opportunity to sit on it another time when I'll be going somewhere. And it's because in terms of accessibility, you guys, if you could just see what I'm talking about, you understand. It's not a place that you're able to freely wheel yourself with a wheelchair. So in terms of mobility, that was a huge challenge. And then you understand those choms. What are choms? I can't even know what choms are. They're not even, there are mtaros everywhere, stones everywhere. It's practically impossible to be moving around in the slums without a wheelchair. And then again, because the onlookers, the way the neighbors, would look at you, oh, she's coming with a wheelchair, and all the eyes are on you. I felt shy. I was shy about that, especially kids. They would just be around looking at you. So I wasn't happy about that. And that's why I kept telling my mom, let's move to Buruburu. At that time, in my mind, I was like, my mom can afford renting a house in Buruburu. She just doesn't want to. She even had friends in Buruburu. I was like, your friend Mama Nani, she can be able to rent us, a room, there's a time I was even negotiating with her. Let's get your friend to rent us one room, and then me, I'll be staying there, because there I think I'll be able to have a semblance, at least some semblance of a normal life. Because in Buruburu, I would say, I had gone to Buruburu, I would see at least the environment was a bit accessible back then. And I kept begging my mom to do that. And my mom would just listen to me, look look at me and she wouldn't say anything negative. I mean, just looking at this child, and she would understand where this child is actually coming from. This child just wants some freedom. This child just wants to live a normal life like everybody else. So from that, I understand. She neither refused or neither accepted. She was just there. And even me, I didn't know the whole picture as to why we cannot really move. So where were we? Joytown. So I go to Joytown. If I get some pictures, guys, I'm going to put them here so that you can see. I did my class 7 and class 8 in Joytown. Performed really well in the KCPE. And there I went to high school. So when I went to boarding, that's where my journey to moving out of the slums really began. I went to high school again, still in Thika, schooled for the 4 years, only come back home during the holidays, which was really good again, reconnecting with friends. But remember, when I went to boarding school, there was a disconnect with my friends, with the people I knew, because most of my neighborhood friends, they were not going to boarding schools, they were in day school. So you can imagine I'm only available like 3 months in a year, so I really don't even know what gossip is going on, what is new, so that really is like my journey of moving away really from the slums. Did my high school. So now let me tell you, when I did my high school, I had finished I finished high school, I think 2015, So I had made a whole plan. I was like, after KCSE, I'm just going to stay home. November and December, that's the time we used to complete in November, early November, and then you'd be at home November and December. I think January and February, and then you'd figure out, know your results, and then off you go to campus, I think sometime in September. But me, I had a whole plan. I was like, I'm gonna stay at home because I loved home. My mom is there, my parents are there, my friends are there. I didn't hate the life in slums. I hated the life in poverty, but not really life in the slums. And I'll tell you why. Because honestly, that's a debate that I wouldn't want to get into right now. But I didn't hate it. So I stayed in November, December. January I had planned, from those days where after high school you would go to do computer. My high school had computer, but it came, I think, along the way when I was probably in Form 3 or Form 4. So I had planned, I'm going to do my computer packages, not nothing fancy, not ICDL, and I'm gonna go to Buruburu. And I did. Let me tell you, I lived in Buruburu. That dream I used to tell my mom, let's move to Buruburu, let's move to Buruburu. I did move to Buruburu, but this time I moved to do my computer. And I stayed in Buruburu, I think, for 4 months. So I went to this really good school, met some really cool people we talk up to today. I did my computer, and during that time, when I was already doing my computer, the KCSE results came out. It was also the time to plan, which campus are you gonna go to in September. So I think I went back home, if not late May, it was maybe early June. I had already applied to campus, so I was just waiting to get admission and all that. And so I remember, so going to university actually was not certain. It was not certain, let me tell you. My life has been a life of endurance, resilience, prayer, faith in God, a lot of faith in God, trusting that things are going to work out. And so when my KCSE results came out, maybe I'll talk about that another time. So the results come out, and I had not performed really well. I was not the A materials, otherwise I would be a doctor right now. So but of course, because of being exposed, I would say going to boarding school, it's something I treasure. I think it taught me a lot of independence, being away from home, responsibility, being disciplined, and just being able to organize and manage your own life. That's something like I appreciate, because high school and boarding school really taught me that, and also exposed me to a lot of opportunities and information, especially when you're done with high school, that you could explore. So I applied to this university, USIU. My USIU peeps, hey, please leave a comment down below. I'd want to hear from you. How you doing? So I had applied to join USIU. They had a really good program, scholarship program. So I had applied. So I knew in September there were hopes. Remember, up to this point when I'm in Buru, doing my computer studies, I'm also praying and really hoping and telling people, yo, you need to pray for me. There's something I'm waiting for and I wanted to go through. Like, going to USIU was that one thing that it either had to come or just had to come. Like, there was no choice, because if it didn't come, I don't know where I would be, because that was like my only lifeline back then. Yeah, so going to USIU was like the only thing that I needed it to work out. So I finished my computer course in Buru. I have to go back home and wait until September. And mind you, by this time, USIU had not responded back to me and said, oh, congratulations and all that. So it was a moment of waiting and praying and crying and catastrophic thinker. I'm the queen of catastrophizing everything. And so those scenarios would play out in my mind. What if they don't accept me? So I had to go back home, and I remember the ride back home from Buru, now back home to the slum Kembio. And it was a long ride. It was a very quiet, depressing ride, because I was like, now I'm going back to this place, and if I don't get the USIU scholarship, I don't know. I did not know what would happen to me and my life, and I couldn't stand, or I couldn't see myself staying in the slum forever. I really could not just imagine it. Like, I really wanted to move away so much, but I loved it. I don't have a problem with those who stay in slums. Up to today, I tell people, by the way, I'm a ghetto girl, I'm a slum girl. But I just wanted, because I believed in the possibilities, I just wanted to see what could happen if I get out of this place. Because I had seen people are able to move out from any situation they are in. I've been exposed. I've seen even my friends live in better places, So I always ask myself, then why not me? Because what are the possibilities really if we don't give up? So you remember that quote I said, I want to see what happens if I do not give up. And so went back home. It was very sad. Didn't like it. I was not in a good mood. I was just crying. I was just praying, hoping that you would get back to me. And when I tell you that between June up to, I think, June up to end August, that was the most difficult time. It was so difficult because it was just a matter of sitting and waiting, sitting and waiting, sitting and waiting, sitting and waiting, just praying and hoping that a positive feedback would come. And let me tell you, USIU, they played with me. They made me wait. I waited and waited up until one time I just got the balls to call them. I was like, hey, I'd applied for this and this. I've been waiting to get your feedback just to know whether I made the cut to get in or not. And I remember them responding to me, oh, are you Regina? Please come on this day for your interview. And if I tell you guys how happy I was, like how excited I was, how excited my mom and my family were, I was so happy. I was so excited. So much excited. I was like, wow, God, truly you do answer prayers. I had prayed a lot, like crazy, because I needed the USIU deal to go through. And so, I joined USIU from day one, and USIU, cool kids, rich kids, so it's just there, just minding my own business, I reconnected with some friends, gained new friends. Even life in USIU was super good. I would say I can't really complain about much. So I joined USIU first year, second year, very proactive, especially in the extracurricular activities. Got to meet some very good people who connected me to opportunities. I mean, when I tell you I've met divine connectors, that's something. Like my story, if I'm to really sit down and narrate everything, and how there's always someone there who would connect me to the next stage, and really just thanking God to provide those people in my life, people who just want to see you excel, people who believe in you, people who trust in you, people who even wanted to say give up their life, but people who really you can see their genuineness, their interest to see you excel. And yeah, so went to USIU, I think by second year I got this opportunity to volunteer with a very good organization. I think I volunteered for almost 2 years. It was really good opportunity. I think it's through that voluntary program by that organization that I even got to go abroad. Yeah, it was the voluntary program. I got to travel outside Kenya. I remember I was going to Europe, I was going to the UK, going to London, and I remember how excited we were. Oh my God, my mom and I, we couldn't believe it. We were like, even if it's a volunteer program, you're not getting paid, so long as they are feeding you, so long as they're paying for your logistics, that's enough. Like, my daughter, you just go and learn and get experiences. I remember those years, and I'm like, ooh, like, yeah, just amazed and super grateful that I was so happy. And I worked in that volunteer program for 2 years. I think I came to London like 2 or 3 times. I came in 2018, 2019, all beautiful, all amazing, love the experience. And I think in the sometime in August 2019, I actually now got a full-time job. And mind you, I had not completed USIU, had not completed my degree. I was doing international relations. I had not completed my degree. I had like 2 or 3 semesters to go, but I was so excited and I was so broke, so I needed the money. Yeah, so that's how my story is. And perhaps I would be saying I don't want to take credibility for my story moving out of the slums. Like, all credibility goes to me, like nothing. I had mentioned the people, the destiny connectors that came at each and every time. Whenever God was preparing a transition for me, there would be someone to hold my hand, or someone to connect me to the next path, someone, or even someone to just pray for me, you know. And apart from my parents as well, you know, and my siblings, of course, as family, we do each other well. So at every given moment in time, there was always that. And I did mention, if you watched my video of how I got into Cambridge, when I joined USIU, actually, that's where like the exposure happened. Like, it's possible, you guys. We have rich people in this school. We have people who have studied here, have gone outside the country, have done amazing things. That's where I got to meet even some very inspirational and key people, you know. I remember the late Bob Kolimo coming to USIU, you know, seeing people like Kinamanu Chandaria. That's actually the time that actually I even had the faith within me that if God, you've brought me to USIU to experience this, like the possibilities of the world, the possibility in our imaginations, like the possibilities in our dreams and in our goals, like I saw it there. That was like exposure on another level. And I actually started even believing in my capabilities, and actually believing that yes, I was gonna leave the slums and never go back there. So yeah, like for my story, like God takes all the glory. I would say that God takes all the glory, because I was just doing whatever it is I was required to do in that season. I was a student, I was required to study, That's what I was doing. I was a daughter. I was required just to be obedient to my parents, and that's what I was doing. So that's how I was able to escape the typical or the stereotypical ghetto life, the slum life, escaping things like, early teenagehood, pregnancy. That's how I was able to escape them, because in any case, I'm in a boarding school. I'm only here like for a month, and I have like homework, like a lot of homework. I have open exams when I open school. So would I be studying, or would I be doing fishy business? That's how I was able to escape that. And I don't want to say that anybody who fell into the traps of early teenagehood, pregnancy, or early marriages. I'm not demonizing anyone really. Even looking at my life right now, I can't really say, apart from maybe education, I can't say like there's anything significant or anything different from the people who live in the slums. It's only that perhaps maybe I have a few more coins that I can be able to pay rent in a better place and stay there. But if we look at the entirety of life, if everything is held constant, we're all human beings. And I think for me, I would say what really helped me is my faith, and being someone with disability. I knew the only way out of this place, the only way for me to gain freedom, the only way for me to be able to move up and down, it's only through education. Honestly, it was only through education. Like, there were zero chances of me making it if I wasn't good in terms of education. And this is something that our teacher would always tell us, even in school, like, if you have a disability, you have to work like 10 times harder just to get something, that a person who doesn't have a disability doesn't have to really work so hard for. And so for me, I think that was instilled in me, and that's why I followed the path of education. It's sad even to say that some of my neighborhood friends, not everyone completed school really, especially high school, not everyone completed. My neighborhood friends, many of them are mothers, which is really good. Another good blessing. I'm not really bashing anyone who fell into the traps of teenagehood, pregnancy. I really am not. Like I say, life is a journey, and we all have different paths to take. We cannot all take the one path. I perhaps decided to take the path of being a career woman, the path of being an educated woman. So, really not here to demonize everyone, guys, so please don't come for me in the comments. So that's how I would say I was able to escape, especially when I now got my first job. And mind you, I think it's poverty mentality, scarcity mentality, or whatever it is. Even when I got my first job, because I was used to so many bad things happening in my life and in our family, I remember I was so scared. I was like, I feel like this job is gonna be taken away. Yeah, like something will just happen that is going to jinx everything. I don't know, I had that fear so much. Like, I'm only enjoying this high right now. There's a time I'm gonna go down. There's a time I'm not even going to get a job. There's a time like that opportunities will just go down. That is scarcity mentality, and it's because I was used to that vicious cycle. Just to mention, when I went to boarding school, I think part of class 7 and class 8, my dad had gotten a very good job. Like, we were living. We were in the slums, but we were living. And so he got this really good job when I was, I think, in class 7. We were living well. My mom, like my parents would visit me during those visiting days with those shopping baskets, and everyone knew, oh, Regina is loved. Regina is loved. And then I think in term 1 or term 2 of class 8 boarding school, my dad gets fired. And I'm like, why? Now there's no longer money, there's no longer like goodies. And so like, why is this happening? So I think I had those limiting beliefs that something bad is gonna happen. And right now that I'm in Cambridge, I can only look back and really thank God for the far He's brought me, for just turning my story, around. Because honestly, I still today go back when there's an opportunity to go back to the slums, because we had a good house there. My family had established, itself there, and so I still go back there I still talk to my neighborhood friends, for those who we are still friends, especially on Facebook, and I still love Izosha Plaza Street. I still love them, my Pasua, I still love them. Smoky Pasua, I still love those things, and I'm really proud of even saying, I came from the ghetto. Yeah. If you're just looking at this beautiful face and you can't imagine how it lived in the slums, it did. And I think the slums, I know there are people who normally say, oh, slum people are so hardcore, very strong and all that, big mouth. I don't have a big mouth. Perhaps I do. Hardcore, perhaps I am. But I love the resilience that it's built in me, because in slums you've seen almost everything really, so nothing scares you. And I think what it showed me is that I can fit anywhere. Today I can fit in any environment. I come visit you and please, I am the least. I do not even care. I will not even complain. Oh, sikuwekewa chai kwa kikombe ya glass. Please, what's that really? Because when you think really about life, what makes people different? Even saying there are those who live in the suburbs and the slums. It's only money. The tomatoes you eat in your suburb home, you can still eat the same tomatoes living in the slums. It's only the price that matters, that changes, but nothing really. So the essence of things remains the same. Yeah, so guys, before this video becomes very long, I want to thank you for watching this video till the end. Please leave your comments down below in the comment section. I would want to hear any parts that you relate to of my story, or if you want to tell your story again, you can go ahead and do that. If you get to reconnect, you can do a collab and you tell your story really. And if you are in the slums really, I just want to encourage you to believe in the power of possibilities. Anything is possible, and I say that all the time. Anything is possible so long as you put your mind into it, you pray about it, you trust God for it. Anything is really possible. Because for me, I always saw myself. I never saw myself living. I never saw myself or even my future in slums. I even when I close my eyes, I couldn't say it. I wanted to move away, and it's not because I hate the place, but it's just because I believe in the possibilities of more. And I'm not saying that those who live in the slums, they do not believe that in the possibilities, that there could be something bigger and better outside there. No, there are people who are comfortable, people who own plots and businesses in the slums. So there's no really, I'm not bashing anyone really. And to date, I still have relatives, who live in the slums, and they're okay and comfortable living that life. It's only that I wasn't. And my biggest motivation was my condition, the disability, because I needed freedom to move around and do whatever it is I feel like doing. Yeah, so thank you guys for watching this video. Please subscribe, like the video, leave a comment down below, hit the notification bell so that you're notified each time I drop out a new video. Adios, bye.